Assalamualaikum and good day. People find a speaker's message more interesting, grasp it more easily, and retain it longer when it is presented visually as well as verbally. In fact, when used properly, visual aids can enhance almost every aspect of a speech. An average speaker who uses visual aids will come across as better prepared, more credible, and more professional than a dynamic speaker who does not use visual aids. Visual aids can even help you combat stage fright. Throughout this session, we will look into the kind of visual aids, guideline for preparing and presenting visual aids. Let us look first at the kind of visual aids you are most likely to use. Bringing the object of your speech to class can be an excellent way to clarify your ideas and give them dramatic impact. If your specific purpose is to inform my audience how to choose the right ski equipment, why not bring the equipment to class to show your listeners? Some objects, however, cannot be used effectively in classroom speeches. Some are too big, others are too small to be seen clearly. Still, others may not be available to you. If the object you want to discuss is too large, too small, or unavailable, you may be able to work with a model. For an example, the speaker is talking about CPR, which he demonstrates on a training dummy he borrowed from the local Red Cross. In the absence of an object or a model, you may be able to use photographs or drawings. Neither, however, will work effectively unless they are large enough for the audience to see without straining. Normal size photos are too small to be seen clearly without being passed around, which will only divert the audience from what you are saying. The same is true of photographs and drawing in books. The most effective way to show drawings and photographs is with a presentation program such as PowerPoint or Google Slides. Audiences often have trouble grasping a complex series of numbers. You can ease their difficulty by using graphs to show statistical trends and patterns. The most common type is the line graph, a graph that uses one or more lines to show changes in statistic over time or spaces. The bar graph is a particularly good way to show comparisons among two or more items. It also has the advantage of being easy to understand, even by people who have no background in reading graphs. The pie graph is best suited for illustrating simple distribution patterns. Because a pie graph is used to dramatize relationships among the parts of a whole, you should keep the number of different segments in the graph as small as possible. A pie graph should ideally have from 2 to 5 segments. Under no circumstances should it have more than 8. Charts are particularly useful for summarizing large blocks of information. One student in a speech titled Risk and Rewards of Work used a chart to show the most dangerous jobs in the United States. These are too many categories to be conveyed in a pie graph. By listing them on a chart, the speaker made it easier for listeners to keep the information straight. The biggest mistake made by beginning speakers when using a chart is to include too much information. Lists on a chart should rarely exceed 7 or 8 items, with generous spacing between items. If you cannot fit everything on a single chart, make a second one. Suppose you are explaining the different kinds of roller coasters found in amusement parks. Your best visual aid would be a video showing those coasters in action. Despite its advantages, however, adding video to a speech can cause more harm than good if it is not done carefully and expertly. First, make sure the clip is not too long. While a 30-second video can illustrate your ideas in a memorable way, anything much longer will distract attention from the speech itself. Second, make sure the video is cued to start exactly where you want it. Third, if necessary, edit the video to the precise length you need to so it will blend smoothly into your speech. Fourth, Beware of low resolution video that may look fine on a computer but is blurry and distorted when projected on a screen or mirror. Sometimes you can use your own body as a visual aid, which is by illustrating how a conductor directs an orchestra, by revealing the secrets behind magic tricks, by showing how to perform sign language, and so forth. In addition to clarifying a speaker's ideas, doing some kind of a demonstration helps keep the audience involved. It also can reduce a speaker's nervousness by providing an outlet for extra adrenaline. Whether you are creating visual aids by hand or with presentation technology, the following guidelines will help you design aids that are clear and visually appealing. Preparing visual aids well in advance has two advantages. First, it means you will have the time and resources to devise creative, attractive aids. Second, it means you can use them while practicing your speech. Visual aids are effective only when they are integrated smoothly into the rest of the speech. Visual aids should be simple, clear, and to the point. Limit your slides to a manageable amount of information and beware of the tendency to go overboard. A visual aid is useless if no one can see it. Keep in mind the size of the room in which you will be speaking and make sure your aid is big enough to be seen easily by everyone. When displaying text on visual aids, follow this general rule. Briefer is better. Succinct phrases containing only essential keywords will help listeners grasp your basic point and process the information as you're speaking. Not all fonts are suitable for visual aids. For the most part, you should avoid creative and decorative fonts. When used effectively, color can dramatically increase the impact of a visual aid. The keywords, of course, are when used effectively. Some colors do not work well together. One of the benefits of presentation technology is the ease with which it allowed you to include photographs, charts, graphs, and other images, including video. Unfortunately, some speakers are prone to adding images simply because it is easy rather than because it is essential for communicating their message. You should never add images of any sort to a slide unless they are truly needed. No matter how well designed your visual aids may be, they will be of little value unless you display them properly, discuss them clearly, and integrate them effectively with the rest of your presentation. Here are 7 guidelines that will help you get the maximum impact out of your visual aids. Check the speech room ahead of time to decide exactly where you will display your visual aids. If you are displaying an object or a model, be sure to place it where it can be seen easily by everyone in the room. If you are using a projection screen, check ahead of time to make sure it is not located where you will cast a shadow on it while you are speaking. Once visual aids get into the hand of your listeners, you are in trouble. At least 3 people will be paying more attention to the aid than to you. The person who has just has it had it, the person who has it now, and the person waiting to get it next. By the time the visual aids move on, all 3 may have lost track of what you are saying. Just as circulating visual aids distracts attention, so does displaying them throughout a speech. If you are using an object or a model, keep it out of sight until you are ready to discuss it. When you finish your discussion, place the object or model back out of sight. Visual aids don't explain themselves. Like statistics, they need to be translated and related to the audience. When explaining a visual aid, it is easy to break eye contact with your audience and speak to the aid. If you keep your eyes fixed on the visual aid, you will lose your audience. By keeping eye contact with your listeners, you can also pick up feedback about how the visual aid and your explanation of it are coming across. No matter what kind of visual aid you choose, Be sure to employ it when you practice. Go through the speech multiple times, rehearsing how you will show your aids, the gestures you will make, and the timing of each move. For classroom speeches, you will already be familiar with the room and equipment. If any of the technology fails, a technician can make the necessary adjustment. For speeches outside the classroom, however, the situation is very different. There is wide variation among computers and projectors, as well as among rooms equipped with multimedia connections. With that, we have come to the end of today's topic. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.